Okay, welcome back to the Modern Revolution. My name is Pete Deely. As you guys know by now, we don't spend a lot of time talking about why you should listen to our guests. Instead, we just invite you to listen. And if you're interested, at the end of the show, we'll tell you how to find out more about them and you can connect with them later. But for now, please just open your mind and listen to what they have to say. Every week, the divine smiles on me, though, and I get to talk to interesting people. And this week is no exceptions. Mr. Eric McHugh, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Pete. I'm really grateful to be here and I'm really excited for this conversation.
Thank you. Eric, we generally like to ask what problem in the world people are working on. So could we ask you, where are you directing your energies? What problems are you trying to solve out there?
So first off, based on your energy talk, I can tell we're going to get along. And so I like to think of it this way. So I think everyone has an inner purpose and an
Okay.
outer purpose.
Okay.
And for our inner purpose, I think everyone's inner purpose is the same. And that is
Okay.
to raise our own level of consciousness, thus raising people's levels of consciousness around us, thus helping the collective as a whole. So I think that's everyone's inner purpose and how we want to get to it. That's where
Okay.
everyone's individual specific gifts comes in.
Hmm.
But more specifically, so I generally follow my intellectual curiosity, which has led me to found two different companies.
Okay.
The first is ShopX, and that's a bridge for a Web2 brand to enter the Web3 world. And this is how it's a problem I'm working on and how it aligns with my why.
Okay.
So my why for this company is overall, I would love to live a nice, peaceful life. That's
Hmm.
my goal.
Yeah.
I don't want to be, I don't want to be bothered, but I find that more difficult to do if I view the money system as being corrupt. And
Okay.
that train of thinking led me to find cryptocurrency and Bitcoin as a potential, first gold and silver, but then Bitcoin as a solution to that.
Hmm.
And ShopX is a way for me to onboard people into the ecosystem at scale. So rather than onboard my mother, my brother, my family over 4 to 5 Thanksgiving dinners, finally get into my
Right. Yeah.
Bitcoin, if ShopX is able to onboard a major brand such as Nike, they use our products and services to offer Web3 products to their customers with proper incentives so their customers want to join. The customers will join the ecosystem because of what Nike has to offer. And that's a 0 to 1 moment for a lot of people. So that's the problem of ShopX. The second company I found it's called Data Inc. So that's
Okay.
the first ever AI powered matchmaker. And
Hmm. Interesting.
that overall goal is just to spread love as much as possible. I think the dating market I think it's pretty broken or just not working for a lot of people right now, mainly due to dating apps like Tinder and Instagram and all that stuff. And more people are meeting online. So we want to put people in the best position to succeed. So how Tinder makes its money or how Tinder works is first off the top 5%. They have
Mhm.
access to all the people on the app, which creates a skewed marketplace. The problem number two is it's pretty much physical based, meaning hot or not, swipe left, swipe right. And problem level three, and number three is I would say a structural problem with the company, meaning if Tinder matches a happy couple or any other dating app for that reason, then that happy couple leaves the app, then Tinder actually loses a paying customer. So what Tinder relies on and other dating apps too is something called churn marketing.
Hmm.
So that's why they want people, that's why I'm sure you've had people or friends like download the app, delete the app, download the app, delete the app again, download the app, delete the app. So that's all by design from the app. So what Dotting does is we put our users, or not just February 14th because of Valentine's Day, but we're going to put our users in the best position to succeed. So what we do is you would link your social media accounts like Instagram, Spotify, all that stuff. We
Hmm.
create a profile for you based on your digital footprint, and then we'll match people with you based on their digital footprint, whether it be similar or opposite. So if I have 3 matches, Ashley, Kimberly, Jane, I get a nice little bio about each three. I think Jane catches my fancy. It's okay, tell me more on Jane. Oh, she also likes national parks. She's the youngest in her family. You're the oldest. There may be a good match there. Oh, you both volunteer at the same place. Oh, did you know that within both your Spotify playlists, your number three artist is a specific artist? Oh, did you know he's playing at a concert in a month? Would you like me to suggest a date with Jane? And then from there, the app can suggest David Jane.
That's
So
so interesting.
yeah,
Yeah. Let's go back. All right. You just said a whole bunch of things. So let's start at the beginning here. In the inner purpose, there is commonality between people. And you're talking about a raised consciousness within a human being. So that way they are in harmony with other human beings. So what does that mean? What do you think what do you think a person's inner self, whatever you might call it, soul, spirit, whatever you're talking about is talking about raising your consciousness. Can you describe that a little bit for us?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. So I like to view everything in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So
Okay.
if you match, and I think that also highlights the power of positive thinking, meaning each emotion speaks, or it speaks a different frequency. So just like a
Okay.
radio station,
Hmm.
that's why sad people are always around sad people, angry people are always around angry people, happy people are always around happy people, because you're attracting what you are. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world.
Hmm.
So you think of it as a scale from 1 to 1,000. 50 would be the lowest. So that emotion is shame. And 1,000 would be the highest any humans ever gotten. So that's where Jesus, Krishna, and Buddha reached. So anger, fear. So any level below 200, that's when someone is draining your energy. So I
Mm.
think positivity and negativity are both contagious, meaning like if you're around a positive person, which honestly you are too, then you just leave the conversation, you're excited, yeah, that was great. But if you were around a negative person, it's like, oh, that's draining.
Yeah.
That's why.
Okay.
So those levels are like anger, fear, and just those negative ones. But I want to raise my own level of consciousness to as high as it can possibly go.
Okay.
And so therefore those around me, their level of consciousness naturally raises too. And it spreads like a positivity virus where it's like everyone's raising, then us as a collective, as a human race, we all raise. And
Yeah.
the good news is I think we are actually raising too. So we
Yeah.
just breached around 200. So like, I think the world's going to change for the better for long for that reason. But yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah. Are you familiar with the book, The Rational Optimist?
I started and didn't finish it, but
Yeah.
I heard it's good.
Yeah. So it's a book about, it's a book of numbers, what's going on in the world and how things have changed. If you just want to look at the math, how many people are starving versus now versus
Oh,
before, all these like things that are different. And so it speaks to a positive arc of development. And interestingly enough, there's an inverse relationship, at least according to this author, with the amount of education you have and your ability to guess like these little quizzes in the book. And what they're saying is that the more educated people are actually more pessimistic about the world than the less educated person. Now, I don't know what that's all about, but when I listen to you say, "Hey, the world's on the right track," whether we feel like it is or not, I think there's reason to think that the species is in better shape than it used to be, and it's improving as well. When created this discipline of your outer purposes and you turn to cryptocurrency, that sort of speaks to an evolution, right? Some people might say, look, money hasn't changed in a long time. And why has everything else experienced changes from technology, from the way we do things, but not money. And that is not an unreasonable thing to say, I think, and perspective to have. And cryptocurrency, I think, is a way for the world to start to think differently about how we transact with each other. So when you began that process of exploring that world, beyond thinking that something's corrupt, beyond the negative things you were not looking to participate in, what attracted you to cryptocurrency?
honestly, it was just when the students invited the teacher approaches.
Okay,
So what led me to I like to spin things in a positive light.
sure.
And I think it's a cool thought if I can bring up like 30 seconds on why the more educated people are more pessimistic. I think it's an interesting point of view if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So in terms of the vibrational scale, I mentioned that around 200, that's where like fear, shame, like hate and all that stuff is.
Okay.
So that's when a person is most impressionable. So if hypothetically there's powers that be, they want to keep the collective at that level because that's when they can most impression. That's when they can control people. So if you think of social media in that lens, that's why all this negative phase, all this push. So if education is run by the same powers that run social media, there's a logical train of thought saying, okay, they're trying to push this level. But to go back to your question on cryptocurrency, would you mind repeating that, please?
Yeah, I'm just curious what attracted you to it beyond not wanting to participate in what you would feel is a corrupt system of currency, a corrupt way in which we transact with each other economically. I'm just curious, Bitcoin and Ethereum and the Solana, the ones that many people know, are solve certain types of problems. But it sounds like you're somebody who's, when they get into something, really explores deeply like the thing. So I'm curious, what types of things did you observe in cryptocurrency that you're like, this is really cool?
Yeah, so honestly, the answer's not that deep at all, and
Okay.
I think it applies for a lot of people. Most people join cryptocurrency, they find a cryptocurrency coin they like or the potential profit that they can make.
Hmm.
But then once they buy into the coin, they have skin in the game, and that's when they go down the deep rabbit hole. So
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like come for the gain, stay for the principles type of thing. So that's what happened to me. And
Okay.
honestly, with the cryptocurrency Bitcoin specifically, it gave me hope so for me specifically, that's when I started just really researching entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
fair value, just reading. It was an opener in the terms of me just reading everything I can get my hands on. So it had a great positive impact on me in
That's
that
terrific.
sense.
Yeah. There's a lot of cryptocurrency projects that I think are percolating new ways of solving problems that when you talk about the world heading in the right direction, as you make things more accessible and reduce the barriers to entry, lots of things happen because now more people can do whatever, right? So when we take a look at the cost of transactions being reduced by cryptocurrency, it reduces pressure for the merchant and the entrepreneur, right? We look at, there are these crypto tokens that distribute computing power around the world and make it less expensive. And now, so if you're a creator, you can get access to software like Runway that would be free to you even to make a movie, and then you could render it out at this with this company called Otoy. Now there's like a level of creativity unleashed in the world that wasn't there before. I find that in education as well. Like you have these massive open source courses that are free, put on by Stanford and MIT and all the top schools. And I always feel like there's some young person in India with an iPhone who's going to come and build something nobody expects, and he got access or she got access to all this information that would not have ever been available to them in previous generations. I'm with you. I think the world, even though it's so uncomfortable in the United States right now in so many ways, I think we're heading in the right direction. And then you stepped into this interesting dynamic of a business life that like attends to something so personal using something so technical. It's an interesting, we've been with online dating for a long time, but this is, I think, another level. So there's an intelligence present that's not human looking for patterns and suggesting that these patterns are predictably good, which is interesting. So was it a function of just, hey, you were aware that pattern seeking has value between people, and that's why you did it? Or what, why did you move in that direction? It's interesting.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said pattern because I've always viewed pattern recognition as a very valuable and a very underestimated skill. As
Yeah.
a matter of fact, that's one of the main reasons I started playing chess because I realized, okay, it's just a bunch of pattern recognition, and this is a great way to train this. And regarding cryptocurrency and dotting or ShopX and dotting, of
Right.
course, everything is related, everything is connected.
Hmm.
So I'm a big believer in following your intellectual curiosity. I think the creator, the universe, whatever, gave
Hmm.
us very specific skills that would, and we're most happy when we're using them in the service of other people. So the best thing we could do for the collective is follow our intellectual curiosity, use our skills to better humanity. So the way I got connected with dotting is I was on a cryptocurrency tour, like a
Hmm.
podcast, or just it's just more specifically cryptocurrency.
Hmm.
I went on a cool one with this guy named Mark. We stayed in touch after the podcast, like I hope we do. And then we became friends after. And then soon, really recently, or not recently, but 5 months ago, this
Hmm.
weird dotting company I was following started following me on Twitter. I'm just like, what is this? And then we hopped on a call. I'm like, okay, this is funny. It adds a real world value. And it's
Right.
just now possible because of AI. And then we started working on dotting together.
And so I'm curious, are they connected in, are they practically connected? What I mean by that is, for example, do you accept cryptocurrency as part of your compensation or as part of your ability to enter dotting? Is when you say ShopEx is an on-ramp, so I think of that as like ways to turn dollars or whatever currency of the thing into cryptocurrency is how I interpret the notion of an on-ramp. And then one of the things that we're at the very beginning is how do you use it out in the real world? So is there, could somebody in your entrepreneurial ecosystem buy cryptocurrency, go and use it to purchase their subscription to dotting?
So there are two unrelated companies, and I want to highlight ShopX is more of an on-ramp for an e-commerce brand into the
Oh,
space. So
excuse me.
the way ShopX works, if you're on Shopify or WooCommerce,
Mhm.
you can download our app, and
Okay.
then within the Shopify app, you can launch your own NFT collection and
Oh,
then program an e-commerce benefits to that NFT. So if Nike were to launch a gold, silver, bronze style pass collection for their customers, gold pass holders could get product A for free, silver could get product A for 50% off, bronze pass holders can get product A
okay.
for just early before everyone else. And
Okay.
then the customers, if they want the e-commerce benefit, they purchase the loyalty pass or NFT or whatever verbiage you want to use around it.
Right.
And they can purchase that with crypto or credit card.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's not so much like an exchange. It's more of a, we call it a blockchain as a service.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I like that. A
Yeah.
bass.
Bass.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. What do you need? You need a D. You need blockchain and something so you can be badass. So you gotta
Oh,
get a D in there.
we'll come up with something.
Yeah, you gotta get a yeah, BADAS. Okay. Are you somebody who had a clarity of purpose and worldview about what you were gonna do as you developed as a human being? Or did your life as an entrepreneur and sort of the spiritual perspective, did these things come upon you all at once? Or are they things that kind of developed over time? Sounds like you're an intellectual, and so you probably fed your mind and whatnot with ideas. So maybe you read a lot as a kid. But I'm curious if these things snapped into focus or if there are things that incrementally developed over time with you.
It was more of a stages type thing. For example, I go through different stages of content, and if you want to be more specific, like the first stage, I guess, would be cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. That's okay. And like, this is a cool thing. Got me inspired. Just read, consume all the information I can, which led me, because after reading the cryptocurrency, that's what caused me to quit my 9 to 5 as a consultant. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to work in the cryptocurrency space. How do I do this? I just started going to cryptocurrency meetups, and that led me to meet the original ShopX team. And we also started another SaaS platform that was VC incubated. And so being around so many founders, just I could ask them any, like Liquid Death was well, like our hubby neighbor type
Oh,
thing.
no kidding. Okay.
Yeah. So I went around there and just literally just talked to all the founders, learned their tips of the trade, just consumed as much information I can. So then I was really deep into the entrepreneurship route. And then the spirituality came a little bit after,
Okay.
but has been greatly beneficial.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, yeah, because the as you talk about the inner and the outer, you have to have a vital experience in both places, right? You have to have your connection to yourself, and if you don't, all the outer success in the world is
Yeah.
hollow, right? Without somebody connected deep within it. Do you feel like there are things that people could do that would allow them to perhaps be closer to understanding their outer purpose and maybe move them with a little greater clarity for who they are, their inner purpose? Anything you might suggest with someone listening going, "Well, that sounds like something I'd like to explore." What would you suggest?
101,000,000% just start
That's
meditating as
interesting.
well.
Yeah.
It's one of the best practices I've ever done. I do it every morning, not every night, but I try to. The
Mhm.
reason I do it in the morning is because that's when you have the most melatonin in your system. So you can get the most unlimited. So I start off my day, wake up at 4:20 because I find it funny, meditate for 20, 30 minutes until I feel unlimited. Then I
Okay.
start doing my work and then it carries throughout the day. A practical step for me that's just been one of the most transformative things I've ever done
Yeah.
is I recently attended a 10-day meditation retreat in Joshua Tree, California.
Wow.
One wonderful program, completely free. And yeah, that was like an accelerator. But honestly, the lessons you learn from there, the mindset you gain is invaluable. Like I left there just wishing 100 everyone the best and just filled with love. And if you're in that emotional state or like people send it back to you. So like what you send out, you get back. So in
Right.
terms of business, that's also had a positive effect too. Because I think that's part of the reason why I started working down because we got along because of this. This
Yeah.
is why I have no problem in networking events. Everything just falls into place because I trust the universe. I think it has my back. Therefore, it
Yeah.
has my back.
That's so cool. When maybe you could tell people what Vipassana is. It Vipassana? Vipassana?
Yeah, yeah.
How do you
Probably
say that?
butch.
That's
Then
okay, I'm
pause.
sure. But tell there are different meditational practices that have different types of discipline. What did that look like? That 10 days is a long stretch of
Oh,
focused time. So what was that like?
Yeah, so I'll say it's probably one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's a 10-day full noble silence retreat in Joshua Tree, California. So what noble silence is, no talking to people, no looking at people, obviously no phone, no nothing. Because all you have is your meditation hall, dining hall, and a walking path. And that's what you do the full 10 days. You wake up before, meditate, breakfast, meditate, lunch, meditate, and you have a discourse at the end.
Okay.
So the reason it's like that is because if I were to meditate for an hour now, I'll probably check my phone, reconnect with anything. But in that style retreat, it's like the whole thing is pretty much a giant meditation. And
Yeah.
it's specifically the method that the Buddha used to reach enlightenment. So what you do is for the first 3 days, you focus your attention on your breathing around your nostril, and you get aware of, you pick up different sensations. And then from there, you scan your body, like the focus you had in your nostril, you just scan every inch of your body back and forth, which extracts the impurity or the trauma held in different parts of your body in different sensations. So if you were a NASA scientist, you're going to space, you had a piece of metal, you needed 100% pure. What you would do is you'd run it through magnets. The magnets would extract the impure metals, and then you have the pure metal after that. So that's what you do with your body, just back and forth, up and down. And you really just feel that energy just start flowing like crazy. And then the
Wow.
cool thing is you close the meditation too. So you just store all your energy in like your crown or whatever you're going to call it, your crown chakra. And then you just wish love throughout the whole world. And what was powerful is throughout this retreat, because there's like a group of 100 people in the room and everyone's doing the same thing. And being around that type of energy for so long is just,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful experience. And not to mention Joshua Tree,
Yeah.
I'd lie down on that third, because don't get me wrong, 10 days of full meditation, it's not easy. It's hard, very
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah.
But I lie dirt out on the bench, just look at the stars, just like completely grateful, see hundreds of shooting stars. Just like, oh, this is amazing. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think there are people in which things that you're saying are natural and like in line with their thinking. And then there are people who are like, I don't believe any of that stuff. And I, when I come across the folks that like are resistant to the notion of, for example, what you're talking about in terms of vibration and the quantification of vibration being along a particular continuum. When someone listens to Mozart in today's day and age, it, in my opinion, probably affects them in a similar manner than the people who were listening to Mozart when he did it the first time. In that there's something about the vibration that accompanies that music, because music's effectively vibration observed, and that when you hit a minor chord, the human being generally hears the minor chord with an association of some feeling, and a major chord and a different feeling, and then a dissonant note, yet another feeling. And so we have practical analogies to what you're talking about in our day to day life. Fingernails on the chalkboard is metaphor because fingernails on the chalkboard actually give us a physical response. The notion that what you're describing is somehow or other esoteric is I disagree with that because I think what you're saying is it's actually there's a certain obviousness to it, and it's just about making connections. And to spend 10 days doing anything, you will be better at whichever you do. So if you go it's 10 days and you go to a hockey camp, you're going to come out probably a better hockey player, you know. So spending that much time to be quiet, to be forced to listen and observe, you will be a better listener and observer regardless. And if you don't think you can feel somebody else's energy as you're listening, if you've ever been the recipient of someone's anger, you always know that. There's always something that's present there. So why you wouldn't feel like there's a way to absorb a loving feeling in the same way? For me, the folks that can't experience what you're describing, I think haven't given the chance to put themselves in the proper circumstance to make it obvious. Because I think as human beings, we find it tough to pick up on subtle things. Not everybody, but many of us. So the universe often beats us over the head. It's impressive to me what you've done. You've been attentive to your inner self. You've been aggressive in your outer self. What I mean by that is you haven't been passive. You've been out there trying to build something in the world. You got to be active to fulfill that outer purpose. So when people are listening and they might be intimidated by what you're talking about in meditation, maybe you could tell them what you mean by that. If you've never meditated before and you don't know the terms and all the rest of it, what might a person do?
Yeah, honestly, the answer to that is really simple. Simply just sit, and I would think of it also like it's not the worst thing in the world. Just set an alarm for 10 minutes. The first thing your body wants to do is start looking for waste energy in itself, whether it be thoughts. I need to check my phone. I gotta check my blah blah blah. So that's just your mind playing tricks on you. But just know the emails will be there when you get back. You can have your coffee when you get back, but just like training an animal, just sit for 10 minutes and let's see how it goes. And if you're really having trouble, I personally sometimes I do meditation with something called binaural beats.
Mm,
And what they are, like going back to the frequency thing,
right.
it's different frequencies on different like right ear, left ear, different frequencies. So it forces your brain to reach a certain level of frequency, not like it forces your body to get a certain level of frequency. So it can be calming, you're gonna be happy. So
Yeah.
my grandma was recently hospitalized, and my family's been coming back and forth with that. So I recommended that to them while in the hospital room, and it had tremendous effects on them. So if you're
Oh,
having trouble,
that's
just check out binaural beats, sit around, and then yeah,
yeah, that's wonderful to hear. Because those circumstances can be so overwhelming. The the executive function of the brain doesn't know what to do because the lizard brain's got everybody in such a fight or flight feeling. If you're feeling concerned, worried, how do I help when there's something that can't be helped out there? I think if someone's listening and they listen to you and they set that 10 minutes, um, it's to be expected that it'll be uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. And so if
yes,
you do it and you're like, this is stupid, I don't feel relaxed. The point is not actually to relax a person, but to show them how unrelaxed they in fact are. And I think when I think about meditation, that metaphor of the murky water, right? And that you can't see the bottom, and that meditation gives things a chance to settle so you can have some clarity. But just because things settle doesn't mean that it's a pretty picture. As things settle, I think you can get some clarity. Oh, I need to work on this, or oh my gosh, I'm hurt here, or whatever you might say.
yeah. I like that email analogy where it's okay. Your whole life you've been getting emails and you haven't been opening them once. So when you
Yeah.
first open your inbox for the first few years,
Yeah,
you have
right.
thousands of emails. So you just adjust them one by one. You just observe them, open it. You may
Yeah,
not deal with it now, but at least you've observed it, you acknowledge it, and eventually your email inbox gets clear. And
yeah,
that's the place you want to be. And honestly, that level of calmness is probably when you're going to be most effective in a personal or business relationship anyway. So it's an everyone win situation. But yeah,
yeah.
it'll be challenging at first. Don't get it wrong. You're just like, why am I
Oh, yeah. I think some people are like, "This is why am I doing this?" I sit here and I'm like, "I'm agitated." But agitation is in fact the worthwhile part of the whole thing. In when you talk about calmness I'm a jujitsu athlete, and in many sports you have this expression, "Slow is smooth and smooth is fast." And I think calmness in everyday life gives you a chance to be operating out of choices rather than reactions. So sometimes I think people hear calmness, and particularly if they're ambitious and they're expecting to create great things in the world, that calmness can be perceived as like somehow or other suppressing that. And I think yes, I totally agree with you that actually it can amplify if you want to go out and accomplish great things. It gives you a greater level of control to actually move in the direction that you want to move, is my opinion.
Yeah, 100% you're right. And I'm glad you do juice. I do Muay Thai as well. And
Yeah,
you have to be calm in a fight. It's funny because in a street fight, whoever is the most aggressive will usually win. But if two people know what they're doing, whoever becomes the aggressor usually loses. So it's about staying calm in that situation. That puts you in control. You can read things. You're not reactive.
right,
And it's a really important in the business world, especially the entrepreneurship world. You have limited resources, you have limited time, you have limited money. So if you make a reactionary decision, oftentimes it's not the best, and you're
right.
dumping your limited time and resources into the wrong decision,
Yeah,
which a lot of times it's better. Okay, we have a problem. A lot of times the best thing to do is go for like a 15-minute walk or something.
sure.
Clear your head, then revisit it with a clear head, and then it's okay. Maybe the original solution was the best, but again, take time, take a step
Take a
back,
second. Yeah.
observe, analyze, and then adapt.
Yeah. No, I like it. Yeah. I like to compete, and when I go to the jujitsu tournaments, the white belts are so frenetic. Like
Erratic.
they're like going crazy. And then by the time you're looking at the black belts, it's so calm. The fight is a very different thing to watch. And I'll carry that metaphor with me all the time because I'm like, oh, if I'm just herky jerky exhausted with my own reacting to everything all the time, I know I'm probably not acting out of any sense of mastery. And then when I know if I'm calm, I understand why I'm acting the way I'm acting, why I'm making the decisions, I'm generally in the right direction. Look, Eric, I'm really glad you chose to spend some time with us, and your story's interesting. You got a lot of different parts of you that I appreciate the fact that you've shared those perspectives and some of your journey. And so thank you very much. And maybe there'll come another time where we'll do another conversation.
Yeah, honestly, Pete, thank you so much for having me. I'm truly grateful. I'm glad our paths cross. You're a positive guy, and I'm wishing you and your listeners nothing but the best.
Thank you so much. So look, today's modern revolutionary, Eric McHugh, he's advancing us all forward. And I hope that you were inspired, but not only to listen and follow up in learning more about Eric, but to bring your own ideas and your own passions to us because the modern revolution needs us all.